Hey YouTube, welcome back to another video. Playing with the practice mute because it's late. And that's not really the point of today's video, is it? I got a couple things, I got some news, I've got another little trial by fire, and a kind of new instrument that's not really mine. So, let's talk about all these things. First of all, sorry, I have been kind of absent from the channel, because I've been weirdly busy for being unemployed in the middle of a pandemic. A couple things. I've got a recording project I've been working on. I'm recording for a remote musical, and I had a bunch of stuff to record, and I had a bunch of issues to work out before I could even record it. It kind of hit on a bunch of my weaknesses, and so I had to figure those things out and then record. And I actually just finished recording today, and I'm actually really happy with how it turned out and the ways it improved me. But that took a lot of time and effort, and it's kind of been my main focus for a little bit. I'm also moving back to Los Angeles, hopefully at the beginning of the month. Fingers crossed, knock on the wood behind me here. We're going back, so kind of starting to get things ready, starting to pack up. Been doing logistics. It's super fun moving, let me tell you. So that's also taking up time. And I've been just doing this little thing with friends, the sextets, and in that I played for the first time with more than, I think, 3 other people, my contrabass trombone. I was like, oh yeah, I have a contra, and I keep playing bass in this group. Why don't I bring this? There's some stuff that's not that difficult and would probably lay pretty well in contra, so I decided to get it out and take it there. I've been feeling really good about my contra playing. I've been putting work into it, but also kind of changed some things about how I approach the instrument, and the contra really responded well to that. And that made me very happy, and I was like, let's see if this actually works in the real world. And let's see, trial by fire. Oh, good. It's almost out of gas, so I didn't think it was actually going to work. There we go. One last shot. It was awesome. Honestly, it works in basically every way that I thought it would, and it doesn't work in all the ways that I thought it would. So it's nice to not have any like big surprises. I think the real surprise that I got is that the horn has almost no feedback. You kind of don't hear what you're doing. In a small space like this room right here, the sound bounces off the wall fast enough that you hear the sound coming out of the bell, and so there's feedback. Kind of any instrument you play in here, you're going to hear yourself in some way or another. But in a larger space, where you're relying on the sound coming off the side of the bell, which is what we usually do in a larger space, there's almost none because the bell is far away and it's big. Larger bells have less feedback. The farther away a bell is, the less feedback it has. And I think a crans, like this has a pretty small crans, also makes for a little less feedback. So basically, woo! Except for a small amount of like kind of core that I was getting to my ears, I was hearing almost nothing that I was doing except for the sound like bouncing off the wall super far away. So that's not super ideal. I think you'd want to hear more of yourself, but I'm not sure if any contras are really that much better at feedback. The bell is always going to be farther away. It's always going to be larger. And it's always going to be kind of just odd and awkward, right? So other than that, intonation was the usual stuff. Third partial were really sharp, but I adjusted really well. I was shortchanging some fourth positions because that's really far out on contra, but I could hear it and adjust down. I had some really fat low notes. The pedals were working really, really well. I was using my Greg Black mouthpiece with the Doug Elliott rim. Just really happy about it. And the people playing with me were like, yeah, awesome sounds. And that's a much better reaction than I've had in the past, where I've played it with quartets and stuff, just with friends in Los Angeles. And I've just never really been satisfied. The sound's always been too bright, too small, really hard to tune, really like exhausting to play. Now I play it way better. I have a better setup for it. I kind of understand the quirks a little more. And it's pretty great. And I'm very happy about it. I was surprised at how not surprising it was. I thought I was going to go in and it was going to be like really awful. Honestly, that was my expectation. Like, I was going to play one tune and everyone's going to be like, okay, please play bass trombone instead. But no, I played it for like an hour straight on a bunch of different tunes, and it was great. So very satisfied with that. It feels like I might be able to use that in the real world someday. Someday, fingers crossed. So very happy about that. In other news, I am borrowing, and this is going to look weirdly familiar to longtime viewers, a Shire's True Bore valve section for my very slightly Shire's bass trombone. Of course, this is the section that usually has the Olsen rotors on it, which has Shire's tuning slide, Bach bell, but with Shire's mounts. And right now I have my Shire slide on here. So if you're a longtime viewer, I used to have Shire's slide, Shire's True Bores, Shire's tuning slide, and a Bach bell. That was my instrument from like 2014 to 2016. A couple of years I had that. I had a single bore slide for it instead of the dual bore that I have now. And I grew on that instrument, but I ran into some problems. I'd like to play it again and see if I have the same problems. But I'm trying this out right now, and man, I wish I could play it for you guys right now, but this basically solves all the issues I was having with the Olsen rotors, where they would feel okay, and I'm like, oh, this is not a bad instrument, and then they'd just be like, not quite good enough. And that was happening again in the sextets last week. I brought the bass trombone as well as the contra, and sometimes I'd be like, man, I'm just laying it down, big old sound, and then sometimes things just wouldn't respond right. And then I put these on, and everything works really well. I get more feedback. The response is instant. I can actually play the dual bore slide on the other setup. I cannot use the dual bore slide. It just does not work. It feels completely uncentered. There's no center to the sound. Articulations are impossible. But with this, it just works. It feels like what a modern bass trombone should feel like, which I have not felt for a while now. Because even my previous horn, the 50B30G with Shire's rotors, was actually quite good, but it was very quirky and very different. It was not a modern bass trombone feeling. This just feels like a Shire's. Nice and efficient, makes a big fat sound, easy to play, it's in tune. There's just kind of like no weird things about it. It just works. Man, it's a really nice feeling to have. And hopefully, basses in the future are going to feel like this. So again, these are not mine, just borrowing them. I'm going to put the Olsen rotors back on, and what I'm probably going to do is either sell that valve section or trade it for another Shire's valve section, or sell this entire instrument with a different slide and buy like a nice 547 or something with it, because I probably don't need 3 bass trombones. So that's kind of the update. Got some news, got some trials by fire, there we go, the proper plural of that saying, and very fun bass trombone to play. Hopefully I can record some of it for you guys so you can hear what it sounds like, which is awesome. Man, just such a big sound. Very happy with my 185 still, but this is a different thing, and it's very fun to play. That's all I got. See you guys next time.